name is Andy, and this is the most magical podcast on earth. When I'm not on holiday at Walt Disney World, I'm planning a holiday to Disney. And when I'm not planning a holiday to Disney, I'm talking about Disney, with other UK fans like me who make the trip to Orlando and the House of the Mouse. So whether you're a parks professional or a Florida first-timer, this is the podcast for you. Each episode, I'll be chatting to other Disney superfans to share memories of their magical times, answering your Walt Disney World questions, getting you all the latest news from the parks, and finding out what's happening right now in Orlando. So get your ears on as we take you to the most magical place on earth. This is the most magical podcast on earth as part of the Secret Recordings Network. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Podmagical. Give us a like, give us a follow, send us a message. If you've got any questions, if you're planning to go to Walt Disney World soon, whether it's a booking question or maybe you're already there and there's something on the back of your mind, well, maybe I can answer it in time. Hello to Emily, who goes in a couple of weeks. Andy, I've not really done much research into this whole Genie Plus thing. I'm used to using the old fast passes. What I have read has left me really confused. Is it worth going with the Genie Plus, or shall I just leave it for this trip? I'm saying, if you're not really sure how it works, you're probably best just to leave it. Save your money and wait in line, especially if the parks are busy. With Genie Plus, you're only going to get on 3 or 4 rides. So I'd say just wait in line. Just suck it up, wait in line. The best bet is, I would say, I don't know where you're staying actually, Emmy. If you're staying on site, if you're staying at one of the Disney hotels, you get a half an hour access before the park opens. So if the park opens at 8:30 as a hotel guest, you can get in at 8, but get in half an hour before that and head to the most popular ride. You can get in the queue for the ride half an hour before it opens, particularly good with Slinky Dog. So if Hollywood Studios opens at 8:30, Slinky Dog will open at 8 for you. Get in the line for it, 7:30. Get in the park, get in line straight away, do Slinky Dog, and then you might even be off before the park officially opens. You might be able to do something else. You might be able to get on Mickey and Minnie. That's my best advice if you are staying at Disney. I'd say don't bother with Genie Plus. It's too confusing, it's too expensive, and I don't think there's enough gains for it. You better just save your money, spend your $15 on a cocktail or a snack, and just get in line. Because don't forget, the Genie Plus only gets you on each ride once. You can only use a lightning lane once for that attraction. It's different with the big individual attractions. I think with Rise of Resistance, paying that $15 to get on it at some point is well worth it, because that queue can be 2 or 3 hours, and it is worth $15 doing. But I think the daily one, the normal Genie Plus, I wouldn't bother with it. I would not bother with it. I'd find out which of the rides get the biggest lines of the day. So now you should be checking the queue times in the parks. Get in there for that extra half an hour if you're staying on site. Get in there half an hour before that, head into the big ride. Get in queue for Seven Dwarfs, get in queue for Slinky Dog, get in queue for Avatar, or even Rise of Resistance if you want to save that and you're not bothered about Slinky Dog. But just try and beat the queues that way and save your money. Especially if you've never used Genie Plus and you can't get your head around it. That's my best advice to you. Any questions? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Podmagical is where we are. And if you'd like to be a podcast guest, like Liz, jump on. Send me a message. Say you want to come on the podcast. Let's catch up with another podcast guest this episode. Let's say hello to Liz.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
I'm all very well, thank you. Always happy to talk about Walt Disney World. So let's start with the obvious question. Why do you love Walt Disney World?
Well, I think, especially when you've been a few times to Disney World, it's got the familiarity of almost an old pair of slippers. You just slip straight back into all the fun of it. But it's also got the excitement of a new pair of high heels, because every time there's something new and it's just such fun. But also, as I say, when you've had the luck of going a few times, you go back and you just feel so at home again. And I also love the fact that it's what I call a yes place, which what I mean by that is when you go on holiday, you want some people who are there to help you and say yes to, if you have any questions or requests, and everybody just goes out of their way there to make sure you're having a fabulous time.
And I've never heard it been explained before as a pair of high heels, a very expensive pair of high heels.
Well, yes. Yeah, designer, obviously.
Yeah, designer high heels.
But yes, yeah.
So when was the very, very first time you stepped foot in the most magical place on earth?
Well, I first went in October 1992 and I was 12, and I remember very clearly I'd had to have a few days off school to go, and the teacher said, oh, Liz has got to go now in front of the class, she's off school for a few days. And everyone said, oh, why? And I said, well, I'm going to Disney World. And everyone went crazy and I felt a bit like a celebrity, so it got the trip off to a really great start, the fact I was having a bit of time off school. So even from the get-go it was magic.
I do remember around that time, if anybody from my school had been to Walt Disney World, like when you come back from summer holidays and go, where have you been? North Wales, Cornwall, Walt Disney World. Whoa! It could stop a room, because like the 90s, you didn't really know what you were going to. There was no YouTube. You know, you might have seen it in a magazine and that's it. It's just this mythical, magical place, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it totally was. And when I came back, everyone obviously wanted to know all about it and what it was like and what the rides were like. And you really felt like you were the oracle coming back because you'd actually been.
And what was it like? What are your memories from that first trip at the age of 12?
I just, as you said, it's just magic. I remember going in and instantly feeling like it was bigger than anything I'd ever seen, and the food was different in a great way, and everybody there was, as I say, so friendly, and it just felt so special. I'd been on holiday to lovely places before, but it was just everything that we did was more unbelievable than the next thing. You know, each ride and all of the detail that they put into everything was just incredible.
And I'm guessing it was Magic Kingdom and Epcot. That was it, wasn't it? Back in the early 90s.
And it was the studios, but it was called the MGM Studios.
Right, that just opened.
It was called then. It was the early days of that, yeah.
And did you venture out to anywhere else in Orlando, or was it just a Disney World trip back then?
I went a few times around that age, and we did go to the old style Busch Gardens and what was Cypress Gardens then, and SeaWorld, because I was obviously with the family. And we also went to Kennedy Space Center on one of those trips, which was also an amazing thing to see.
And have you been back since 1992, or is that it?
Oh, no, been back a few times. I say lucky enough to go a few times. We went as a family at that age, and then back when I was 14 and 16 and then 18. And then we had a break for a while, and then went back with my sister and my parents when we were I was about 30. But my sister, who was 24 at the time, we were still the kids in that instance, went with my parents. And we went back, and I went 3 times in the last sort of about 10 years, and then a couple of times with my husband as well, since we've been married, so a few times as an adult. And I really think that it's as I say, it's a magic place for everybody, and you go at any age and it's the perfect time to go. And a pleasure has been introducing my husband to the joy of Disney as well. He loves it now too.
Were you a bit nervous the first time you took him, going, oh, this is great, you're going to love it, and then going, I really hope he loves it?
Oh, totally. We went just the year after we got married, and we had a very nice sort of second honeymoon in Disney, because I wanted to go for our actual honeymoon, but he wasn't really that up for it. So I said, well, let's go as a little second honeymoon. And so he's like, oh, okay. And as I say, he was a bit skeptical about the whole thing, but then once he walked through he put his foot through into the park on the first day. I think we went Animal Kingdom on the first day, and he just said, this is fantastic. And now, as I say, he loves it as much as I do. So that was brilliant.
Did you carefully choose what you were going to do first the first time you went with him? Were you going like, oh, well, he's probably going to like Animal Kingdom, so let's take him there first? Was that a plan?
Well, I had a few plans, but actually one of my very favourite memories was something that happened by chance, which was, I don't know if they still do the extra magic hours if you stay on the Disney property anymore. But back then you had you had to have some extra time. So because we were staying on the resort, we were actually at Magic Kingdom one evening, and just as the normal park hours were closing, it absolutely had a Floridian downpour, torrential rain. And so everybody left the park, and it was going into the extra magic hour that you had magic hours if you were staying there. And so the park emptied of the normal guests, and then the extra magic hours, as I say, began. But most people went home as well then, because it was raining so furiously that everybody left. And Ben and I, that's my husband, we went into the Country Bear Jamboree show to shelter from the rain. And when we came out, literally it was about 10 p.m. at night, and the park was pretty much empty. And so we then almost had Disney World Magic Kingdom to ourselves.
Wow.
And so we walked around the park. We went on, I remember the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train about 3 times. We went on a couple of rides, and they said you don't have to get off, you can just keep going round. And we ended up at midnight on one of the carousels, and we have a photo of us. And it was just, we looked at each other and said, we can't believe this. It's almost like we have this place to ourselves. So I think after that night, he really saw the magic of it. And as I say, that was a one-off experience, but that really got him.
Getting the park to yourself is a bit of a treat these days, unless you pay for it for one of those after-hours events. Having been imagine. Now since, over the last 30 years, any attractions that have come and gone that you're a bit sad that are no longer there?
Definitely, I would say they're in the Hollywood Studios park. There used to be an American Idol show, which was obviously based on our sort of X Factor talent show. And contestants, people from who were just in the park that day would go and have auditions, and you'd go in, and it was like watching the American Idol stage show that they have in the US. And the singers were really fantastic, and you were in the audience, and you were voting on your favourite. And they had like a panel of judges that I think were actually celebrities in America that would give it a very authentic feel. And then at the end of the day, you'd go back, and there'd be sort of a final for that day, and then a winner that would have a chance to then go and actually be in the real auditions for American Idol, getting a fast pass to the real show. But it was just brilliant, and again, just Disney did it so well, and it was fantastic, and I do really miss that.
Yeah, I remember that. That's where the Frozen sing-along is now. It's in that theatre, isn't it, in Hollywood Studios? Yes. Not tempted to audition yourself, Liz?
Not with my voice, no. I definitely wouldn't have won any prizes. I like being on the judging side of it. But yes, it was great fun.
We've got Liz on this episode of the podcast, and we're going to chat about some of your favourite Disney World things in a moment, Liz.
Brilliant.
News update from Walt Disney World first, and the Festival of Fantasy Parade at Magic Kingdom has returned. It returned last week. Twice a day you can see it, 12 noon and 3 o'clock. It's not quite as big as it was before the pandemic. There's a lot less performers, whether that's because of social distancing or they're struggling to hire performers at the minute, but it's a slightly watered down parade, but still, isn't it good to see a parade back at Walt Disney World? Also, we've got some resorts news. If you have ever been to see the Spirit of Aloha, that's the show over at the Polynesian Resort, the Hawaiian dinner show. That show stopped just before the pandemic, and it isn't returning. In fact, the area where that theatre was for the dinner show is going to be the place where the new DVC Polynesian Resort is going to be built. That was announced this week. And also, resorts news, Boardwalk is getting a bit of a makeover. I stayed at the Boardwalk just the other week. And if you've never been to the Boardwalk or that Boardwalk area, I'm just telling you, if you're ever at Epcot, break up your day by going out the World Showcase entrance just between England and France and just have a bit of a walk around Boardwalk. It's great there. There's got a bakery, there's like a little ice cream shop, you can have a walk around. The bakery, by the way, is having a bit of a revamp. That's going to become a sandwich shop, but there's going to be a new bakery restaurant opening where the ESPN building was. That's going to be opening as part of the Boardwalk's revamp, and the Boardwalk itself is getting a coffee shop in the lobby. It's a great area. Next time you're at Epcot, go and have a look around. And when you're over at Disney Springs next time, Arista Crepes is closed. But that building is now a new place to get your Dole Whip, because you need a bit of a break when you're shopping at Disney Springs for a cool down and a Dole Whip. Well, there's a new place to get one now. Don't forget, any more news, we will update you between now and the next podcast. Just follow us on socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. We are at PodMagical. Episode of the podcast, Liz is chatting all things Walt Disney World. Let's run through some of your favourite Disney things. Let's start off with your favourite attraction at Walt Disney World, Liz. What would you say it is?
Well, I do love the World Showcase at Epcot. I don't know if that's too big a a thing to say that I love every
the whole
country.
Thing. Fine. Yeah.
The whole thing. Walking around.
Do you do drinking around the world then, or snacking around the world?
Well, when I've been and they've had the Eat to the Beat festival, I think that's in September, October time. It's a brilliant time to go because you get to sample little bites from each of the countries, and I really enjoy all of the food. I think it's fantastic, and also obviously at that time of year you have the concerts as well. So I've seen Billy Ocean's perform there and Shaka Khan, some great concerts and the food as well. Can't go wrong, really.
Yeah, and they've got the Flower and Garden Festival at the moment with the Garden Rocks. So they've got some good acts as well over the next few months. And I always miss them. I always like when the really good ones are on, I always miss them. It's so annoying.
Oh, you have to be on sort of planning and get your schedule on round them, really.
Well, they only kind of announce it a little bit later, don't they? They only announce it like a few months before, but never mind. When it comes to food, do you love the food at Walt Disney World? Have you got a favourite restaurant?
Do you know, I love really nearly all of them. And I think, again, going back to talking about my husband, I think something that really surprised him was the level of gastronomy at Disney. I think that most people think it's going to be a lot of burgers, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you like burgers, that's the place to be as well. But there are so many fantastic restaurants that would, sort of be almost Michelin star level, and I just think that again there's something for everybody, really. And I really love the restaurants on the boardwalk near as you walk through Epcot. There are some lovely restaurants there, and it's a really nice view there. When you can sit there and enjoy again a whole variety of things. Flying fish, I had a really lovely meal in there, and I think there's an ice cream place there as well. And but the flying fish, I think that they do some really amazing dishes.
I love the boardwalk. The fact that it's just on the door of Epcot, it's quite a lovely escape that I think a lot of people don't even know about unless you're staying around there. You kind of like don't mention, and you could even carry on walking to Hollywood Studios if you wanted to go that way. It's a lovely secret place, I think.
Yes. Again, it's. I think you can just walk through the back of the World Showcase, or it might be a boat. And you're just there. So it's perfect.
What about places to stay? Have you got a particular favourite resort at Walt Disney World, or do you tend to stay off property?
Well, I do love staying on property because I think you're then right in the heart of things and you're immersed into the experience, which is brilliant. And because of all the resorts are themed normally around different countries. Again, it's just brilliant to be able to really stay there and be close to everything. And then you can park hop during the day, and I think staying on property. And I just like all of the resort hotels that I've stayed at, and I quite like going to different ones to have a sort of a new experience, really, because I don't think you can go wrong when you're on the property.
Yeah. So which ones have you stayed at then? Pretty much all of them.
Well, no, I wouldn't go that far. I'd like to try. I've stayed at Port Orleans, and I've stayed at Caribbean Beach and the Animal Kingdom Lodge so far. Yeah. All of which are, brilliant.
You can't really go wrong, can you? Like you say, when you're staying on property with those extra magic hours as well that you get in the deluxe resorts at the moment. It's very beneficial if you can afford that one.
Yes.
Do you tend to venture out to Disney as well? Do you go over to Universal, SeaWorld? As you did when you went for the first time, but do you still go, or do you tend to stay to Disney?
Well, I think if you go outside Disney, obviously there's some great parks. I also like doing a bit of shopping. If you're in Orlando, they have some great outlet malls. I know that's obviously not a theme park, but another time, actually, again, if you're adults and I think you want to go to Disney but also have a more grown-up experience. I've also had a week in Disney and a week in Miami afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Driven from Disney World down to Miami, and two very fun places, very, very different, very contrasting places. But I think you can sort of make Disney World a base and then explore some other parts of Florida, not just theme parks. It's always just something to bear in mind.
So how was that drive then from Orlando to Miami? Was it quite easy, quite straightforward, fun?
Yes. I mean, I think a lot of driving in America is on the the motorways, the freeways. Yeah. So I think it was about 3 or 4 hours. So not too bad. And obviously, you drive, you can see have a little look as you're driving past. And it was something that I really enjoyed doing. The drive wasn't difficult, and it's just something a bit different to do if you've been a few times and you think, well, it's a change.
So I'm going to give you 24 hours in Walt Disney World, Liz. Your ideal perfect 24 hours, what would you be doing?
Well, Andy, there probably could be about 100 perfect different, days in Disney. But I think that I'd probably wake up at a resort hotel, any of them. But if I could choose anywhere, I'd probably say the Grand Floridian.
Oh, of course.
So I'd wake up there and I'd have breakfast outside by the water, and then take the boat from the Grand Floridian over to Magic Kingdom and spend the morning in Magic Kingdom doing all my favourite rides. I love Splash Mountain, Frontierland, really. I love it up there. And then I'd probably jump over to Animal Kingdom and have lunch at the Rainforest Cafe. Afternoon in Animal Kingdom, taking in the Lion King show. I do love it in there. And then if we're going crazy and it's a dream day, I'd probably go over to Epcot for dinner. Maybe one of the restaurants, possibly Tepanedo, the Japanese restaurant, for dinner. Yeah. And then fireworks to finish off. I think I'd probably have the fireworks after dinner at Epcot.
Yeah. Stay at Epcot, round the lagoon.
Yes.
So have you got another trip planned, or are you currently planning another trip?
Well, I'm hoping to go in September this year. My husband and I have now got a 3-year-old daughter who I'm desperate to introduce her to the magic, and she's desperate to go. She doesn't really understand in her own way, bless her, but she definitely wants to go. She's watched parades on YouTube and thinks it looks amazing.
It does, yeah.
So I'm just looking at where to stay with her. We've looked at the Art of Animation Resort, which looks like it could be a good one for families.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to marry, the best time of year, because I really want to hopefully go at a quieter time. I don't know if there is one at the moment. So I'm just trying to balance it all. Like you say, there's probably not a shorter time for queues, but I think September might be the best we can hope for.
The last year or two, September seems to be the quieter of times. And Art of Animation, you're right on the doorstep for the Skyliner. If you've got a stroller, you can get your Skyliner. That sounds like a good plan, Liz.
Well, we hope so. Yes, we are looking forward to it, and I can't wait to get back. I haven't been for a few years. The pandemic's really got in the way of plans, but hopefully now we're onwards and upwards.
Exactly. Onwards and upwards. Lots of new things that you haven't seen last time. I think the Food and Wine Festival might be on. So who knows, you might even get to see another concert if you go in September.
Well, that would be the dream, yeah.
It will be perfect. Lovely chatting to you, Liz. Thank you for sharing your magical memories with us.
Thank you, Andy. It's been brilliant to speak to you.
And have a magical day.
Thank you, and you.
Fancy joining me as a podcast guest? One episode? Just drop me a message. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or TikTok. We are at Podmagical. If you're going to Walt Disney World very soon, don't forget to tag us in your photographs, especially your Instagram stories at Podmagical. We can share those. If you are going, the weather is starting to get warm. Prepare for storms and prepare for spring break crowds. Now, usually it's one of the busiest times of the year when spring break is on, but I think a lot of people are now put off when it's holidays, so they'll go at other times, which means crowds are just spread throughout the year. But it is very busy at the moment at Walt Disney World. You've got the Flower and Garden Festival on at Epcot. You've also got the Mardi Gras Festival that continues over at Universal Studios. A quick reminder that clocks went forward in America last weekend, which means the time difference is only 4 hours at the moment. So if you need to contact or do anything online and you stuck to a certain time, remember there's a 4-hour time difference at the moment until we put our clocks forward. The top tip for this episode, I always like to finish with a top tip. Slightly different this week because I'm going to give you something from my own personal experience. I just came back from Walt Disney World with my mum. Took her for her 80th birthday. Now, she's in a wheelchair and she has certain other difficulties. So we took advantage of the DAS Pass. Now, you might have heard the DAS Pass. The DAS Pass isn't a queue jump system for people in wheelchairs. It is a way of making sure that people who can't spend a long time in queues don't have to queue. So technically you're not queue jumping, you're getting to the queue and then coming back when you normally would be on the ride. So you can't stack them up, but it means you can go to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and then if the queue time's 2 hours, they'll tell you to come back in 2 hours. Meanwhile, you can't go and do another ride. You can't get another lightning lane or anything like that. You come back and wait the next time. Not all disabilities are visual, which is why they have the DAS Pass. If you want to take advantage of the DAS Pass, if there's somebody in your party or family who can't spend time in queues for one reason or another, look into DAS Pass. Go to the Walt Disney World website. You can apply online before you actually get to the parks. You can do this 60 days before. Go to the DAS Pass section, just drop them a message to say you're interested in inquiring. They'll ask you a few questions. They'll tell you whether they think you verify or qualify for the DAS Pass. If so, they will then do a quick video call with you and they'll set it up. Now, if you and your party have already got your park passes planned, you know which day you're going to Magic Kingdom, they'll be able to schedule 2 of those DAS passes already per park, which is a great advantage. If not, it just works, as I say before. You get to the park and you go to the attraction you want. They'll scan your magic band of the person who the DAS Pass is in the name of, and they'll ask how many people are in the party, and they will give you a return time. So if you want to go on Remy, there's a 3-hour queue at 9 o'clock. They'll tell you to come back at 12. Meanwhile, you can go for breakfast or maybe do Figment that's got a 10-minute ride. And then as soon as you've done that one, you can go to the next attraction and you can get another DAS Pass return time. It works like that. It's really good, and it does save a lot of time of just standing in line for people who, you know, after 20 minutes in line, they might want to leave to do something. You know what I mean. Also, as well, as I found, because Mum was in a wheelchair, there are a lot of great rides that are wheelchair accessible straight on. Things like It's a Small World. Some of the boats are wheelchair accessible, so you can wheel the wheelchair straight on. The water ride, the Donald ride in Epcot as well, is also like that. Things like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has got a particular carriage at the back where you can put people on. Same goes with things like Haunted Mansion, where when you get to the queue, say, look, this person needs just a little bit of time. We can't do the moving conveyor belt. They'll take you through a separate entrance and they'll make sure the ride stops for you, so you've got plenty of time to get on and off. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is brilliant because they'll take you into a separate room where the car will come in and you can have as much time as you like to get on and off. So if you've got somebody who's struggling a bit with mobility issues, that's another great thing as well. And on the other hand, having pushed somebody around Walt Disney World in a wheelchair for a week, yes, it's very hard work. It's mostly flat, but there are ups and downs, especially around Epcot, around France, between France and England. But also as well, if you do see somebody in a wheelchair, it might be good to get out of the way. But, you know, if you're standing around checking your My Disney Experience app and you're going to stop, don't just stop in the middle of the path. Just stand to the side. I mean, that's not just for anybody in a wheelchair or an ECV. You're getting in everybody's way. So just be a little bit more courteous about not getting in people's way. Hopefully, if you've got mobility issues or, you know, somebody who struggles in line, hopefully that's helped you a little bit. But do look into DAS Pass if you think that could be to your advantage. Any more tips that you've got, maybe experiences you want to share, do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you've subscribed to the podcast as well. Don't forget, we've got brand new episodes with new guests, new news, new top tips every other Friday. So hit that subscribe button. We'll be back with our next podcast 2 weeks from now. And until then, please stand clear of the doors.